Hello Rachel, hello Get Kids Into Books. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm Justin Somper, author of the Vampirates books, and I'm here on my Vampirates blog tour. And I've been asked to talk to you about what I think are the key ingredients of an adventure story, whether I am reading one or writing one. So the first thing I'm looking for from an adventure book is a strong hero or heroes. And in Vampirates, there are obviously two hero characters, twins Connor and Grace Tempest. But I think when I say hero, I'm not expecting the characters to necessarily act like heroes or maybe even feel like heroes at the beginning of the story. I really don't think that Connor and Grace do. I think they're feeling desperately sad that their fathers died and really not knowing what's next in their lives. But they become heroes very quickly for me the moment that they set out in that boat away from Crescent Moon Bay, and they're shipwrecked and they're rescued by very different kinds of people. And from that point, there's just no looking back for Connor and Grace. The second thing I'm looking for from a great adventure story is a great cast of over-the-top, larger-than-life, possibly quite dangerous characters, and you're going to find loads of those in the Vampirates sequence, both within the pirate world, which Connor is exploring, and the vampire realm, which Grace is exploring. Now, Connor gets to know pirates initially on board the Diablo, captained by Captain Malacco Wraith, a swaggering captain, and the deputy captain Cheng Li. And then in the second book, Tide of Terror, Connor goes to Pirate Academy, the school that's run by the Pirate Federation, and there all of the teachers were once illustrious pirate captains, so it's like a living pirate history for Connor to explore. Meanwhile, Grace is getting to know the vampire characters on board the Nocturne and journeying deeper into the world of the Vampirates. And I talked before about Grace being a hero, and I think it's so heroic that rather than being frightened of the vampire characters, she's fascinated by them, by the mysterious vampire captain, by Sidorio, who attacks her at the beginning of the story, by Lorcan Furey and Darcy Flotsam, who become her friends. And Grace even starts writing down these crossing story interviews with the Vampirates, and they're referred to within the stories, but in the new editions of Vampirates, you can read those stories at the end of each of the books. The third thing I'm looking for from an adventure story is I want to be taken to amazing places. And again, I hope there's no shortage of those in Vampirates. Now, when I say journeying to amazing places, that might mean physical places, that might mean cities and countries around the world. In the case of locations in Vampirates, we've got places like, we've got the ships, the Diablo, for instance. We've also got Mark Ettle's Tavern. We've got the Pirate Academy, which I mentioned before. On the vampire side of the story, we've got places like Sanctuary, and we've also got the Blood Tavern. So journeying to amazing places could mean going to actual places, but equally it could mean going to quite challenging and amazing places within our own minds and hearts. And certainly for Grace and Connor, they have this parallel journey within the story, which is a very emotional story. And their experiences, their very different experiences, really shape them as very different people. And it's going to be quite challenging for their own relationship to reconcile as those experiences come to bear. The next thing that I'm looking for from an adventure story is danger and jeopardy. I want to feel it stalking me from the pages of the story. And hopefully there's no end of jeopardy within Vampirates, whether we're on the pirate side of the story or the vampire side of the story. So it might mean that you're being attacked by another pirate crew, or you're indeed getting ready to attack another ship. Or it might be that you are voyaging to the mysterious Blood Tavern and tentatively entering and seeing what that place is all about. It was very important to me with Vampirates that it wasn't this straightforward story of good pirates versus bad vampires. I wanted to really mix things up and have good characters and villainous characters on both sides of the story. So you're not really defined in this book by who you are as good or bad, but by what you do. So for instance, there are pirate captains who are very wanton with the members of their crew because they're seeking fame and fortune, and they probably shouldn't be trusted. Whereas on the vampire side of the story, there are actually many vampire characters, including the vampire captain, who are acting from a very strong leadership point of view and taking care of their crew. So putting all of those first 4 ingredients together, the 5th and final ingredient I'm looking for from an adventure book is to keep turning the pages. I don't think there's any better feeling as a reader than when you've settled down and you've thought, oh, I'm just going to read a chapter before I turn the lights out. And actually you come to the end of that chapter and you're so gripped, you want to read the next chapter and then maybe the next few pages. And oh, before you know it, you've read another chapter. That's exactly what I'm looking for as a reader of adventure books, and hopefully that's what you'll find if you read my Vampirates books. Thank you so much again for having me here today to talk about adventure books. Don't forget that the Vampirates books are a bit of a mashup. I mean, I think the dominant genre is adventure. There's a bit of horror in there, a little bit of comedy, maybe whisper it, a little bit of romance. Whatever, I hope you really enjoy the books, and thanks again for hosting me on my Vampirates blog tour.